thunder crashed and rain fell interminably to the drenched ground. The wind accompanying the storm blew with such force that loose objects were upset and scattered about the grounds of the great Phryad castle. The inhabitants within the tall stone walls all took refuge in houses, shops, and sheds. In the blacksmith's shop, a boy named Reldon sat quietly watching his father the blacksmith at work. Reldon was an average boy in most every respect. He could never claim to be taller, stronger, or faster than any of the other boys around the castle, nor could he claim to be significantly smarter. He was educated in much the same way as the others. His father taught him the tools of his trade, how to read and write, and how to live within the stone confines of Phryad without causing too much mischief. He had almost never left the castle in which he had been born, only once or twice having been permitted to explore the village below, under the watchful eyes of his parents. Even in his physical appearance, Reldon could not have claimed to be anything other than average. She stared at herself in her ornate wooden mirror, seeing her pale, trembling reflection gazing back at her with her brilliant blue and green eyes. She ran her fingers through her long, blonde-brown hair as she brushed it, which seemed to calm her down, if only for a moment. Setting the brush down, Alira stood and gathered her belongings, which consisted of a book called a tome, which helped to teach her magic, parchment and a quill, and an amulet she always wore, which she put on effortlessly. The amulet had been an item her father had given to her, telling her it had been her mother's. It was made of silver, which was woven into a shape of two swans with their necks intertwining, with a large ruby inlaid in the center. Looking briefly in the tome, Alira reminded herself again not to change her mind about her element, which she had decided on the previous night. She opened her hand out in front of her and summoned the magic force inside of her, focusing on her palm. At once, a small glowing orb of light hovered weightlessly above her hand, casting shadows of her fingers on the walls. She grinned and extinguished the light. "My name is Reldon. Can my Ilewa hear me?" he thought with all his might. For almost a full minute, he sat in silence, waiting desperately for a response. Then, as he was about to break his meditative form, he heard the musical sound of a girl's voice in his head. "Hello, my name is Alira," the voice trembled. It was such an incredible feeling. The sound of her voice was so clear and rid of any manner of interference, he would have sworn she had been standing next to him. But in many ways, it felt almost purer than speech, truer even. "Alira, you're a real person. I'm really speaking to you through my mind. This is incredible. I've never shared thoughts with anyone before," Reldon said. "What's an Ilewa? And how is this possible?" Ilewa, Irilitia Chronicles Book 1. Written by Evan R. Meyer. Narrated by Adriel Brandt.